TG Geeks, episode 265, March 16th, 2020.
Oops.
Gay odd couple. Hello and welcome to another webcast from tggeeks.com, where Ben and Keith, the Two Gay Geeks, talk about all aspects of geekdom and nerdery. Sci-fi, comics, film, horror, genre, you name it, we talk about it. I'm Keith Lane, and we're coming to you from exhausted TG Squared Studios in lovely, we're on vacation, Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah, and I'm here in Phoenix, Arizona, and we've been working at this since how long? When you got up.
I started at 6 a.m. this morning.
Yeah, and I've been at this since 8:30. But yeah, we've been doing show stuff all day, and it's 5:30 in the afternoon right now.
Yep.
So
that means we did an interview. We recorded two episodes.
Worked on content for the week.
7 days worth of content. So
I just wrote it.
So we can be on vacation.
Yeah,
I wrote a 2,700 word review.
It's now a 1,300 word. I actually had to add something to it. I had to write a 1,300 word review for Altered Carbon. So yeah, we're tired.
Yeah, just a little exhausted. So,
but it's good.
Sorry about that flub up. We just let it run. So we're going to get on with this.
Prepare for hyperdrive.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Episodes, the Two Gay Geeks are discussing this.
Well, this time we are talking to Jason T Gaffney, and today is the last day of the Kickstarter. Monday, the March the 16th, is the last day for the Kickstarter for Marriage of Inconvenience. And we talk about that, and we'll see what he has to say about that. We have our birthday shout-outs, featured podcast of the week, and do you have any feedback?
Yeah, I got time.
Okay.
I got a little bit of feedback.
A little bit of
Just
feedback.
a little bit.
And shout-outs, and our... I don't know that we're going to have any time in our second segment, and then our weekly recap and our regular shout-outs, because the interview with Jason is kind of long.
It ran long, but it was good.
We expected that because it was going to be, our vacation episode anyway. So we're going to get right with it. And we welcome back to our show Mr. Jason T Gaffney, filmmaker.
Hello. Hi, nice to talk to you again.
Jason, welcome back. We talked to you about analysis paralysis, and then this one is a new thing, but for those that didn't get to hear the last interview,
I'll have to post a link to that fun interview,
and then the spanking.
And after the spanking,
yes. Anyway,
then you can listen to this one.
Yes. Tell us, who is Jason T Gaffney, and how did you get into filmmaking?
Well, I'm a filmmaker. I started actually as an actor when I was 6 years old, acting in theater, and I knew I wanted to be an actor. I was like, that's my goal. And as I grew older in life, I realized that stage wasn't the right medium for me, so I moved to film. And once I joined, working on film projects, I realized I didn't just want to act in the films. I also really enjoy writing the stories, writing the screenplays, and directing films and producing films. And so I've kind of morphed into this filmmaker who writes, directs, produces, and acts in films.
Wow. That, along with the rest of your family, practically, is in your production team. So that's incredible. I know your mom's very involved, and your dad, you write in tandem on... How many projects have you worked together on now?
A number.
With my dad, goodness. And with my mom, too. My dad and mom and I co-wrote The Perfect Wedding together. And then my dad wrote Russian Doll, but my mom and I helped produce it. Then my dad and I wrote Analysis Paralysis together. then my mom and I wrote Out of Body together, and then my dad and I are back together again for Marriage of Inconvenience, the upcoming series on Deku.
Yeah, that's what we're kind of here to talk about. This, and we're releasing on the very last day of the Kickstarter program. And if you want to be involved, please go to the Kickstarter. We're going to have the link in the show notes at the bottom of this article that we release on March the 16th. And there are some incredible perks.
Lots of perks on this one.
This Marriage of Inconvenience, it sounds like a scream. So why don't you tell us about how the project came to be? What was the impetus to start this, and then tell us what it's about?
Well, one of the things that I do personally is I like writing stories about LGBTQ people. I specifically steer towards gay characters, just because I identify as a gay man. And
oh my gosh, you're gay? Oh,
what?
No, what? I guess we are too.
Well, I would hope so with our title.
Exactly. And so I know how to tell that, like I can tell that story from my perspective and all that stuff. And one of the things that I noticed was kind of lacking a bit in the LGBTQ, specifically gay film niche are stories where the leads are gay, but the conflict has nothing to do with their sexuality. The conflict has to do with outside sources and things happening around. And so I always, and I'm also a huge comedy guy. Like, I love comedy. I love making people laugh. I love it when I love to laugh myself. So if I can help make other people feel the way I feel when I'm laughing, then it's a win-win.
And you're very good at it too, I should add.
Oh, thank you so much. So my dad's very similar in a sense that he loves to make people laugh. He's obviously a straight guy, but that's okay. I won't hold it against him.
I'm sure your mom won't hold it against him either.
I know, it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
So he and I have very similar senses of humor, and so we often will team up to write stuff. And so, I'll throw scripts at him and he'll throw scripts at me, and we'll kind of figure out which ones we want to work on. And a while ago, he had an idea for more of a mystery thriller series where there's these two guys that end up in witness protection, and they're in a town where everyone's in witness protection.
Oh dear God, that's an idea.
Yeah, but nobody knew that everyone else was. They all just assumed they had their own secrets.
That's actually a very funny premise.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool idea, and it morphed into what it's become. So Marriage of Inconvenience is actually a story of two gay guys who end up in witness protection and end up in a new program in the witness protection program where they get more perks if they marry another single witness protection person. So they get married together, basically, but the only thing they have in common is that they're gay. Other than that, they are complete polar opposites.
Oh, Lord. And they're in
Owen
witness
is-
protection.
What?
And they're in witness protection.
Exactly, yes. And so Owen is, a bit slobbish. He tends to be a little more crass, a little more blue. He tends to be pretty comfortable with wearing less clothing.
Oh, let me guess who that is.
That will be played by me. And then Franklin, who's going to be played by the amazing David Allen Singletary, is a college professor. He's a bit uptight. He wears, sweater vests. He tends to be really clean. And so
He's Felix Unger.
Yeah, and he's a very beautiful man, too. So
Oh, he's a gorgeous-looking man, no question.
And wait until you see his comedy chops. I mean, he is a funny man. Like, he can deliver, which is awesome. So anyway, the story morphed when my dad and I were talking about the initial concept. It kind of just morphed into, what if we found a way to update and do our own version of The Odd Couple, which is, an odd couple for the 2020s, which is two gay guys that with, a little bit of a spoiler, the idea that there will be a happily ever after towards the end of the series. I'm not sure how the happily ever after will come about and all that stuff, but I'm rooting for Owen and Franklin to potentially end up together.
Okay, now that actually kind of brings up a really good point, and that is writing these characters. So, in trying to develop this, because this is a 6-episode series.
Yep.
And
for season one.
For season one. I was going to say, we're looking at multiple seasons at this point as well.
Yeah.
How alive have these characters come to you in your brain to the point where, are you almost like, since you're writing this out and developing these characters as the series goes, and I'm always fascinated with the writing process, have these characters actually kind of come alive in your brain and to the point where you're now sort of hearing their voices, including Owen's, and being able to sort of take dictation and let that development happen in some sort of an organic fashion?
Yeah, so I will say that the voice of Owen really screams to me, and that's the character who I've really spearheaded. The voice of Franklin is pretty combo between me and my dad. Once we figured out that we wanted David to play the part, we started morphing Franklin to fit David better and to give David the best chance to have just home run after home run for punchlines. And then there's another series regular character named Diane, who is their federal marshal who takes care of them. It's kind of their liaison to the outside world. Okay. And that character, I wrote the initial draft and everything, and my dad has really brought her to life and given her extra strength that he's just so good at. He's really good at writing really strong female characters, which is super fun. And so it's depending on which character, they talk to me really, really loudly, or they talk to my dad really loudly, and so I feel like the two of us kind of merge together and collaborate on that.
What about also story development? Because Keith and I have talked to a number of writers where they've had it in their head, okay, I want the story to go in this direction. And the next thing you know, or next thing we find out, the writer's saying, but that character is now screaming in my head saying, no, it has to go this way. Sure.
So we, in season 1, there's an episode where the two guys have to take extra precautions, that they're worried that one of the bad guys might be in town. So they have to take some extra precautions to not be seen in the house for the episode, and which leads to some comedic stuff. And initially that was going to be the episode that closed out the season. That was the season finale, leading us into season 2.
Cliffhanger.
And we realized that episode 5 wasn't really as funny as the other 5 episodes were. So episodes 1 through 4 and episode 6, very funny. Episode 5, fine, good enough, But we didn't want good enough, so we decided to swap episodes 5 and 6. So we moved what originally was the season finale to episode 5 and had to make a new season finale. And during that time, there was a lot of screaming from the characters, for sure, in my head as to but you've taken away my end of the season drama there, and how are you going to move it to this episode where it fits so well? And it's kind of like a weird puzzle where you're crafting the puzzle as you build it.
Right. Mm-hmm. You're following the Game of Thrones method of the penultimate episode and then the season finale.
So what, episode 5 is the Red Wedding?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it comes. Yes, that's a fair analysis of it. But what's kind of cool though is I've already started hearing, having thoughts in my head as to season 2 episodes. And what would be funny for the guy? Because the best part is normally if a character says, I don't want to do that, I kind of listen to it and I shift them elsewhere. Mm-hmm. Because the humor from this show comes from the fact that these two guys don't want to be here and they're uncomfortable. If they don't want to do it, I make them do it.
Hey,
because that's funny. It's funny to watch them be unhappy.
Right.
Well, that makes sense. I got to admit.
In a strange sort of way, yes.
Yeah, and so it's basically like, and that was something I learned when I took improv at the Upright Citizens Brigade, is that the guy, one of my teachers said, if a character says they don't want to do something in comedy, the next thing you need to do is make them do that. We will laugh at their discomfort, because comedy is essentially tragedy plus timing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can accept that.
It's kind of like horror is something
Unexpected.
It doesn't have to be blood and gore and guts. It's something that's totally unexpected that raises that tension, and then there's the release. So,
that, I mean, horror and comedy are actually way more hand in hand than you would think.
Absolutely, and they are perfect together.
Yes, good,
like he does
like Out of Body, and we'll just throw that out there. We've seen the copy of that, so it's incredible how horror and comedy work together so well.
Yeah, well, it's all about timing. It's all about the element of surprise. So if you can get people to be scared and also to laugh, then you're winning. It's like a win-win.
So I want to go back to something that you talked about earlier, and this is I'm really stuck on this idea of a whole town of people in witness protection, and the thought that ran through my head was, that's so Little Britain.
Yeah.
When you got the one gay in the village, he thinks he's the only gay in the village. And in the final sketch, in the final episode, he realizes, everybody's gay in the village.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the ultimate punchline to find out. I mean, not that I want to write or tell you what to do, but oh my God, wouldn't it be hilarious in the final episode of the series? Turns out everybody there in the town is in witness protection. I mean, okay, well, I've just blown the punchline.
No, I mean, it's that kind of stuff. I mean, we really considered that for a while, and the reason we decided to not go that route is that show is way more of an ensemble cast.
That's true.
And with our budget, we were like, you know what? What we can afford is we can afford to do this. So let's do this really well rather than try to go for something we can't quite afford yet.
Right.
Unless it's a big hit, and then you get a bigger budget.
Right. And so, I mean, who knows? Maybe season 2 will have, several million to play with, and then in which case we'll do a rewrite. Maybe we'll get really lucky.
You never know.
Hey, keep my fingers crossed on that one.
HBO buys us. They say, we loved your Red Wedding. Let's redo this.
Exactly. So right now, as of this recording, you are still in the process. Did you complete all of your auditions, or do you still have some callbacks and some additional things? People
is the casting still in process?
Yes.
So
long story to say that. Oh my God.
Yeah, no. We're figuring out the final cast right now. We've started casting. The auditions are essentially done at this point. Now it just is figuring out who among the amazing talent that walked through the doors do we want to work with.
Right.
I got to tell you, it was truly humbling this go round with auditions. We had a record number of people request to read the script.
Great.
Because when you hold a SAG-AFTRA audition, which is the Filmmakers Union, you're required to offer the script up to read for the actors so they can prepare their materials the best that they can. So normally actors will get the sides and they'll go, oh, this is clear enough. I got it. Like, I don't need to read the script. I can, it's a good enough side. I want to do it. I'll make it work. We had somewhere, I want to say it was like 500 or 600 people email us to read the script.
Oh.
Because we do it in 2 rounds. We do the first round, we do self tapes because it allows me to see way more people up front and make sure that the people I'm calling in the room are correct for the role are the right caliber that we want, are the right look, etc., as best we can. Because you can only tell so much via a headshot or an actor's demo reel where you see previous work. And they may be a great actor, but they're just not right for this role. So it allows us to see that. So we send out a couple hundred self-tape requests to 10 different characters. So each one had a couple hundred, with the knowledge that about half of them won't send back in self-tapes. And that's about what happened. So we were on average. But what was shocking me was the number of people who read the script. So then it came to scheduling the in-person kind of callbacks or in-person interviews. And we invited 55 people on the first day and 77 people on the second day.
Wow.
And we're doing different time levels. So like for a different role, you might get 10 minutes to audition versus 5 in the schedule.
Wow.
And the reason I invited so many people, like we knew that there was enough time in the day, so if everyone showed up, we'd be fine. Tight, but fine. But generally, when you do in-person audition interviews, you'll get a 25% drop-off. 25% of people won't show up, and you won't know why. We had a 100% turnout rating.
Oh, my Lord.
Fantastic.
Wow. That's incredible.
Which has never happened, and it was on both days. There was one guy who no-showed, but later wrote an email saying, "I'm so sorry, an emergency came up. Please keep me in mind for future stuff." But like that still, like in the past, the no-shows just you never hear from them.
Right.
So like we counted as a 100% rating because we knew where everyone was.
Right.
Exactly.
And it was also really cool. David continues to remind me and shoot me text messages being like, it'll be a text message being like, "Girl, 90% of the people who walked through those doors said your script was brilliant." And it's common when you're holding auditions for actors to come in and say, "I love the script." Like they're not lying to you, but you're saying something nice and it's a win for everybody. So you kind of take it with a grain of salt. But when you have a 100% turnout rating and a 90% of the people are saying it's a good script, you can't help but feel a little bit good about the script.
Right.
At the end of the day.
I was gonna say,
and it was well, go ahead.
I was going to say that this is regarding the fact that you had such a big turnout on this and so many requests for the script. Two things popped in my head. One is maybe people are familiar with the pedigree that surrounds all this. Your father and your mother, the careers that they've had as writers, you as writer and actor. And part of me wonders, filmmaker. So part of me kind of wonders if people are like, if the fact that they're doing this says there's a lot of really good talent, especially given the fact that analysis paralysis is still relatively new in the streaming market.
It's such an incredible film.
And that is a brilliant movie. I mean, I can't.
Thank you.
I mean, it's just freaking brilliant. So I think the timing of all that has got people thinking, there's a lot of really good talent surrounding what these guys do. I might want to latch onto this. So there's thought number one. And thought number two, and I want to ask you about this. Do you think this is an indication of where we are going in terms of LGBTQ cinema? That it's really we're seeing just a big embrace of that particular form of entertainment now?
Yeah, so I have a couple thoughts on this. I think for sure we are shifting towards a higher quality across the board. Like there's more people getting into the game with LGBTQ cinema, and as a result, everybody's having to up their game, and that's not a bad thing. I want tons of amazing stuff to be made. There's room for all of us, and we should always be like, you should always have someone who you're looking at and going like, "Oh man, that's such a great script. I'm a little envious because I wish I wrote that script because it's so good. You know what? That's just going to push me to make my next script even better." Like when good stuff comes out, it encourages other creatives to do even better next time. So, which is great. We all win that way.
Yeah.
And the other thing that was kind of fun for me on this is there's a thing I call playing like gay face, and it's when an actor will go for the stereotype of what being gay is. And generally that implies, a limp wrist or super flamboyant and like very like stereotypical what people think of as a gay person kind of gay. Now, obviously, I have a ton of friends who are that flamboyant and they are genuine to themselves and they're wonderful people.
Right.
And so if an actor comes in and they genuinely are that person, it's not playing gay face, it's being themselves.
Right.
I'm talking about like straight actors coming in and they're talking like themselves, and then they start the scene and then they go like, "Oh, married girl," and you're like, "Oh,
No.
that's not, don't do that."
Right.
And what's cool is this go round, we had nobody do that
Cool.
at all. And it was so refreshing because every project up to this point, I have had people do that. And it's just kind of like, I want you to just be yourself. Just be who you are. Yep. And so it was really, I think that's another indicator that we're heading towards a more accepting populace of the nation, and a more accepting industry that like, we're not a cartoon. We're people with feelings, and some of us are lumberjacks, and some of us are super flamboyant.
Exactly.
Queens, like it goes the gauntlet. There's not one type of gay person.
Right.
So it's cool when people are coming in and being themselves in the room.
Right.
It really feels nice.
And of course, you don't want porn actor acting.
Yeah.
They couldn't act their way out of a paper bag. Just shut up and get on with it.
And okay, honey, and how do you know that? No, just kidding. Just kidding.
Now, I did want to ask, was David there with you for both days of the auditions?
Yeah, and I try really hard, especially like whenever I've got a co-lead or that I already know is cast, I always try to have them come in the room with me for a couple reasons. One, they can help read the actors as they come into the room and make sure there's no red flags I'm missing, or like, oh, that person's really a crazy serial killer, don't bring them to set, that kind of stuff.
Right.
But also like to make sure that the chemistry is there.
Exactly.
Like some people came in and they're just delightful people, but when they read opposite me and David, we weren't able to connect the way that they would probably connect if they were reading opposite, Neil Patrick Harris. They would suddenly be brilliant with that actor, but for us it didn't work.
Right.
It's all about the chemistry.
Well, that's good. That's cool.
So so he had a lot of fun. It was I think he was also floored by the turnout because I was like, "Don't worry, we'll have some downtime." We had no downtime.
I need a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Or an iced tea or whatever.
It's funny. You built in this break time based on the assumption that 20% of the people aren't going to show. Surprise.
I haven't had lunch today.
I know.
Yeah, but
$7 o'clock.
But if there was any bad thing to happen, that's what I would think to be a good bad thing.
Yeah.
Oh
absolutely.
yeah. What a shame. I've got 130 actors who are amazing to choose from for 10 roles.
Wow.
Like, darn.
Well, that's a wow. I don't envy you to do that. It's just going to come down to.
And I'll have to be honest that because I came from an acting background, there is a small part of me that does feel bad every time I do my final casting.
Yeah.
For the folks that we don't cast, because there are some, like, if you're out there listening and you're an actor, just know this. You don't always get the job, most of the time when you don't get the job, it has nothing to do with your talent. You are amazing. It's just that someone else fit it better.
Yeah.
And that it's like, it's so such a bummer when you're like, I love these two people and I'm going to go with this one, and the other person's so good, and I just don't have a spot for you, and it is what it is.
Right. We know several people in the film festival circuit, and they all say the same thing. I mean, the legitimate ones. They say, I feel so bad that I couldn't accept all their films, but I have room for 70 films, and I got 5,000.
What about the illegitimate ones?
Yeah.
Since you said that.
The illegitimate film festivals.
The illegitimate film festivals, yeah.
Well, there's a few out there. But,
Oh.
It's like Philip's Basement Film Festival.
Yeah, there's 6 chairs.
Yeah.
They charge
Come on
$50
down,
an
guys.
entry.
Yeah.
Wipe the chair down at your own risk.
Exactly.
Oh, boy.
Oh, dear. Let's not go
I
there.
don't know if I'll be attending. Yeah.
Exactly. So we are really up against the time here. So kind of wrap up where you are, what the next steps are for Marriage of Inconvenience, and where we can find that on social media.
Sure. So right now with Marriage of Inconvenience, we're basically finishing up casting and pre-production and getting ready to go. We're going to be filming starting April 8th, and pretty much the next 12 days with a couple weekends thrown in there. We'll be filming. And then from there, we go right into the editing bay to get it out and onto Deku by October, November, and into your homes to stream and watch, and hopefully have a good laugh.
Super.
Wow.
And the best way to follow is I know we have a Twitter account whose name is escaping me right now.
It's
iSeries
Mo.
Yeah.
We'll have a link somewhere, right?
Yeah,
it's
it's iSeries MO.
Oh, thank you. Perfect.
Yeah,
and then, of course, you can always follow my newsletter, tinyletter.com/mypethippo for updates. If you back us on the Kickstarter campaign, you'll get more updates about the series there as well. And you can also follow me on Twitter at Jason T Gaffney, Facebook at actor-author Jason T Gaffney, Instagram at Jason T Gaffney, for updates as well.
Cool.
Fantastic.
This has absolutely been delightful. Thank you so much, Jason, for talking with us and spending the time with us. I know you're very busy, but thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me on.
Sure.
I always have fun when I get to talk to you guys.
Cool. Thank you.
Hey guys, this is Jason T Gaffney, filmmaker and director of Marriage of Inconvenience, and you are listening to the Two Gay Geeks.
That was.
I just love that
love
guy.
Talking to,
I
to
love
Jason.
talking to Jason.
He is so much fun.
He's a delight. He really is.
Yeah. So here's a few selected birthdays for March 16th through March 22nd, the 22nd, 2020. March 16th, James Madison, founding father. He was one of the framers of the Constitution, wrote a majority of the Constitution as well as the defense of the various pieces of it. And then we have Jerry Lewis, Mr.
Whitey.
Multiple Sclerosis Telethon. Funny man, just kind of crazy. I remember Jerry Lewis when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And then we have Alan Tudyk.
Oh, my God. Man
Actor.
of many talents.
Firefly is his actor, and he's doing a lot of voiceover now.
His voice
Oh, my God.
ability is terrifying.
Yeah, he did K2SO in the Rogue One, and which was brilliant. You know, not only the writing, but his voice and the way he portrayed that. Then we have Victor Garber, actor, out gay man. He was in The Flash, as well as a number of other things.
The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah,
And gosh, so many other things. In fact, I think he might have also played George Washington in the HBO John Adams series.
Oh, he may have. Okay. And then we have Todd McFarlane, comic artist. Isn't he a Phoenician?
I want to say that he is.
I think so.
I know he's got some ties with Phoenix.
Yeah, and the Spawn is his big thing, and many, many other things. And then we have Facebook friend Victoria Mature, who is Victor Mature's daughter, as a Facebook friend of ours. March 17th, Kurt Russell, actor, child actor turned adult actor. Yeah.
Yeah, he became an adult.
He became an adult, but fairly stable. I mean, he didn't have all the growing pains that some of the child
he didn't go
actors
crazy.
did. Yeah, and married to Goldie Hawn for years.
Are they
or they've been in a
Well,
relationship.
they've been in a relationship for years.
Yeah, for years and years. And they actually live on a horse ranch.
Yes, they do. And Kurt still cranks out the material.
Yeah.
I mean, he's coming back
What was
to be
that?
in that another Santa Claus film for Netflix.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was
Which
such
was
a
so
scream.
great. I loved
really
it.
was,
But
yeah.
of course, for me, my favorite part will always be from Big Trouble in Little China.
Yes. Oh my gosh. It was just that movie is just it's craziness.
It is totally
It is
insane.
a non sequitur.
It is such an insane movie. John Carpenter at his best. Yeah. I mean, that movie is just bonkers.
Yep.
And Kurt Russell is just fantastic.
Yep. Then we have Nat King Cole, singer of the Christmas song Unforgettable. Natalie Cole is his daughter. We have Alexander McQueen, fashion designer, out gay man. You did a review.
I did a review of
it
was a documentary, on him, which was
him,
really
yeah.
fascinating and really sad too.
Yeah. And then we have Reed Timmer, storm chaser. He drives this beast of a car to
My
chase
God,
storms.
how is it that we never heard of him before?
I don't
until
know.
he comes barreling up on us
Exactly.
while we're on I-40.
Yeah, and in Oklahoma, we were headed back home, and here comes this thing.
I'm looking at the rearview mirror as we're driving and thinking, what is this tank that's coming up on me? And you were sleeping, but you woke up just in time to see it pass you, and then you took photos, you posted on social media, and everybody knew who he was except us.
And then we also have a Facebook friend of mine and former coworker, Stephen Harris. March 18th, Peter Graves,
Mission
actor,
Impossible.
Mission Impossible. Yep. And then we have Nikolai Rimsky-Korsakov. He was a composer and an orchestrator, arranger. He's famous for writing Scheherazade, which, you know, it's such a piece that covers so much ground, and we always say everything sounds like Scheherazade, you know. It's like, what the heck is that? Because he was a chameleon in his writing. Then we have Brad Dourif.
Oh, great actor.
Yep, and he has a tendency to play unhinged characters.
And he does it so well, but he can also play some beautifully sympathetic characters too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think he's amazing.
And one that I forgot to put on your list that I have on my list is Robert Donat. He's an actor. He played in The Count of Monte Cristo, and he played Edmond Dantes. And is quoted in, or that quotation is in V for Vendetta about The Count of Monte Cristo, and then Edmond Dantes is played by Robert Donat. He was brilliant. So that's why I put him on here. And then we have Luc Besson. Filmmaker, Fifth Element, Valerian, which was a beautiful
Beautifully
film,
looking
but
film,
it was
but
just,
that
it's like, what is this?
I would call it vapid as a movie, but
it was beautiful.
Oh my God, imagery-wise, it was fantastic.
Yeah. And then we have Facebook friends, Adrian Payne and Margaret Juntwaite, who was the voice of the Metropolitan Opera.
I loved her.
On the Saturday morning broadcasts as well as Sirius XM.
And my favorite story is she was so available to everybody.
Oh my God, yeah.
And I remember you were on a business trip and they were playing Faust during the a weekly performance, and we were going to be seeing Faust live in HD the following Saturday. So I'm listening to it as I'm doing some work here on my computer, and I just get on Facebook and I see she's there, and we're chatting about Faust. It was so awesome to do that with her.
Yeah, and I chatted with her once, and I said, she always sounds so upbeat and really excited about all of these operas and some that I would consider unlistenable.
Some that are really questionable.
And I said, How do you do that? And what is it that, you know? And she said, sometimes you have to find just that one little thing, whether it's a note or a phrase or something in a piece of music that begins to then open that piece of music for you. And I've
that has worked.
applied that a lot.
Yeah, it worked for us when we went to see Bluebeard's Castle.
Yep. And March 19th, Bruce Willis, speaking of Fifth Element a minute ago. Oh my gosh, and the Die Hard movies and just everything.
Moonlight.
Yep. And then we have Patrick McGoohan, actor, The Prisoner.
The Prisoner.
His last role was Billy Bones in Treasure Planet, which was a brilliant film by Disney. I thought it was great.
Oh, it was a beautiful film.
And then we have a coworker of mine, Patricia Wade DeSilvestri. And then we have the Podfather himself, Michael R. Menengay. Happy birthday, Mike. March 20th. One that I didn't put on here because I fouled up somehow. I don't know. There was
too much to do today.
A couple of things. Anyway, I have Fred Rogers.
Mr. Rogers.
Actor, minister, psychologist, neighbor.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we had Spike Lee, director, filmmaker, colorful individual, champion for people of color in film. Glenn Close, actor, Fatal Attraction, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes, I loved her in Guardians.
No, she was great. And William Hurt, actor. He was in The Big Chill, which is how he came to my attention. It was a brilliant film.
Yes.
I loved that film. And several of the Avengers movies.
That's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
He was the senator or director, whatever.
Yeah.
Whoever he was.
He is the father of Bruce Banner's love interest in The Incredible Hulk.
Right.
And the name just went right out of my head.
Yep. And David Thewlis, actor, Harry Potter. He was Professor Lupin. And then he was also in Wonder Woman. He
was Mars. Or Ares.
Ares, yeah. And then we have Carl Reiner, actor, director, producer. Oh my gosh. Just
still alive.
Yeah, he was born in 1922, so he's 98.
And he's still going.
Yep. It's amazing. And Freema Agyeman.
Oh, I love her.
Actress, Doctor Who and Sense8. And Carl Palmer.
The surviving member of ELP.
Yeah. March 21st, Gary Oldman.
This is an actor I just idolize. I think the man's amazing.
Actor. He was Harry Potter and, all kinds of other stuff.
But my favorite role is Beethoven in the movie Immortal Beloved.
Oh, yeah.
I thought he was brilliant in it.
Yep. And Matthew Broderick, actor, War Games,
Ferris Bueller,
Torch Song Trilogy, the producers. Then we have Modest Mussorgsky, composer. If you are curious about classical music as a gigantic genre, check out Pictures at an Exhibition by Mussorgsky. And not only just listen to it, but also find something that tells you about each of the pictures, because it was supposed to represent walking through a gallery. And as he would look at one of the paintings, he wrote the music for that, and that music was supposed to represent
you
that.
can look it up online. I'm sure you can find all sorts of resources online about pictures at an exhibition, and I think it's really worth your while.
It's one of my favorite pieces ever.
I love it.
And then Timothy Dalton, actor, once 007.
Actually, twice, I think.
Yeah, twice. And then we have Facebook friend Marshila Marriott, also known as Marshila Rockwell. That's her pen name. And then we have Crazy Joe Fiore.
Joe.
Happy birthday, Joe. March 22nd, The Shat. William Shatner.
It's my birthday.
And Andrew Lloyd Webber, musical composer. Oh my God, what didn't he write?
I know.
As a musical?
Well, he didn't write Scheherazade.
Yeah, that's true. He didn't write that. But oh my gosh, so much good music. Stephen Sondheim, composer, lyricist. He wrote Funny Thing, the music for Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum.
Really? I didn't know that was his.
A Little Night Music, and Sweeney Todd. Let's see, Tyler Oakley, a YouTube author and activist, out gay man dedicated to LGBT youth and LGBT rights and suicide prevention. Werner Klemperer, actor. He was Colonel Klink on Hogan's Heroes. And he was an accomplished concert pianist. I say this every year, that I will never forget the episode where they closed out with him playing the piano.
I really need to see that.
Oh my gosh, it was incredible. He was the son of Otto Klemperer, famed conductor. So he was naturally a pianist. And then we have Marcel Marceau, a mime, the only person to speak in the movie Silent Movie.
I know, that's hilarious.
And I have a funny story.
You got to share the story.
My sister and I and my mother, we were in JCPenney in Muskogee, Oklahoma, and they had an elevator that was run by an operator, and they had a mezzanine in the second floor. And it was just, that elevator was big enough for maybe 4 people. So there was the operator, my mother, this lady, and then my sister and I. And I was probably 4 or 3, something like that. And there was, the lady had so much pancake on that it was incredible. And my sister and I were looking at each other and laughing. And my mother says, "What? Stop it. What's going on with you?" And then our stage whisper, a child's whisper,
which is
"That
loud enough
woman
for anybody.
looks like Marcel Marceau."
Don't.
Well, you can't get out of that elevator fast enough. And then we close off the birthdays with M. Emmett Walsh. Actor, plays crusty characters.
Yeah.
And was in
We just saw him.
the film Raising Buchanan, a local film produced here in Phoenix. And
we just saw him in something else.
Yeah, it was
didn't
something
we?
else. And it was like...
Was it Altered Carbon?
I don't recall, but maybe
Might
it
have been
was.
Altered Carbon, I think.
I don't know. Anyway, but that's it for the birthdays this time.
This is Pinky here. You and I and the brain are listening to Krypton Radio. Sci-fi for your Wi-Fi. Love.
Go over to Krypton Radio and listen to our friends over there. They're a 24-hour geeky internet radio station.
Knives Out.
And oh, yeah.
It was Knives Out.
Yeah. So go give a listen to them and listen to all their wonderful stuff.
I'm Daniel Radcliffe, and I believe that reaching out for help is the bravest thing a person can do. If you are struggling and need support, call the Trevor Lifeline at 1-866-488-7386. It's free and confidential, and trained counsellors are there to listen 24/7 without judgment. To learn more about the Trevor Project's life-saving work for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning young people, go to thetrevorproject.org.
We want to give a last shout out to the Kickstarter for Marriage of Inconvenience by Jason T Gaffney to stream on Deku. It's a 6-episode series about 2 gay guys thrust into witness protection program, as we heard Jason talk about it. You can still be a part of it as of the end of the day on Monday today. So check it out. And in the spirit of transparency, we are backers of this project.
Got a little bit of feedback, not a lot today. This is regarding Ben's breakdown, Grace and Frankie series thoughts.
Series ending thoughts.
Now, I will get to that in a moment. First, got a comment from Lisa Penner. She said, "This is one of the best shows I've ever watched. The show's take on social norms with humor as the base was extraordinary, and I agree 100%. Now, we got a follow comment from Galen Wong. And Galen writes, "But it's not done. Grace and Frankie ends in season 7, not 6. Season 7 is in production."
Oops.
Big time oops, because before season 6 premiered, we've been told that was it. It was going to be ending. And as far as that last series goes, that was about as good an ending as you could get.
Exactly, yeah.
So where they're going to go from there, I have
who knows?
I have no idea. And then lastly, got a comment regarding Marriage of Inconvenience Kickstarter, a Deku original series by Jason T Gaffney. Got a comment from Hamish Downey, and he said, so many rewards. And just a cool idea, too. And he's right. I mean, there's a ton of rewards on this one.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. If you want to leave a comment on anything that we publish, whether it's our episodes or it's another article, you can do that by going to our Facebook page and looking up TG Squared Studios. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Instagram, or you can go to tggeeks.com and comment on each article or episode there. And we also have a listener feedback line that you can call and leave a message, and we'll play that on air. You can call 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. And as always, please play nice. As everybody knows, we're so huge supporters of independent creators such as Jason, and whether they're filmmakers, comic book artists, writers, or others, if you see them at a con or a book fair or just out in general, please chat them up, buy their stuff if you have see them selling their stuff, and please consider supporting independent creators. The Joshua Tree Feeding Program is a 501c3 nonprofit food pantry for HIV and AIDS community in Maricopa and Pinal counties. It's set up like a store so that the clients can pick and choose from the food that they prefer, and they have a wide assortment of nutritional foods for them to take home, and no food is wasted because they choose what they want. They're an all-volunteer organization, so please consider supporting Joshua Tree either through a single or a monthly recurring gift. Go to jtfp.org. If you are trans or are questioning your gender identity, and if you are in crisis or are feeling isolated and need someone to talk to, or you know of someone in a similar situation, there is a special hotline just for you. The hotline is provided by translifeline.org and staffed by trained counselors who are transgender themselves. The hotline in the U.S. is 877-565-8860. In Canada, it is 877-330-6366. Or you can go to translifeline.org to learn about the important work they are doing. Please reach out for help. You are not alone.
Yeah, baby. They're like two gay geeks. They're together, you know. They're two gay guys and they're geeks. Is that okay?
You have anything for in the second segment?
What are your thoughts on Altered Carbon?
I love it. I am so excited about it. I know that you have your 3-episode
I've got a 3-episode
and
review out for this that's come out.
Oh my gosh. I can't wait to see the rest of the season.
Yeah, I'm very much enjoying it. I know that some people are kind of down saying that it's not as good as last year. I would say it's different than last year.
Yeah, it's definitely different.
Very different. Yeah. But I've enjoyed it a great deal. And in fact, I say it's probably the first dystopian science fiction show that I've ever seen that is bright and colorful and bleak at the same time.
Exactly.
Oh, man, how you can do that is amazing.
Exactly.
Now, these are the things that we ran this last week at tggeeks.com, and we will have the links for each of these articles in the show notes for this episode at tggeeks.com. Starting with Sunday, March 8th, Dr. Zombie Monster Family Physician number 91. 91!
91.
He's closing in on 100, people. Can't wait to see what he's got planned. On Monday, the 9th, TG Geeks episode 264. We're tired, people. And then Tuesday, March 10th, Restaurant Review, The Butcher, the Baker. This is from Jeannie Koch.
Yeah, it's a Jeannie Koch heavy week.
Yes. And then on Wednesday, the 11th, The Gentleman, the movie with, oh my gosh, Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, all kinds of people.
All kinds of people, yes. This is also a review by Jeannie Koch. And then on Thursday, the 12th, another restaurant review from her, Seed Kitchen and Bar. And then on Friday, the 13th, Hamish Downey's 5 Questions with Marie Campbell. And then on Saturday, the 14th, Ben's 3-episode thoughts, Altered Carbon.
You can find all these things at tggeeks.com as well as entries on our Facebook page. Please visit and comment.
Have to give some shout-outs. First to the Arkle Times Post-Dispatch News put out by the human Arkle, Brian Weber. You can find the Post-Dispatch News, which does republish our content from time to time, by finding Brian Weber on Twitter. You find him by searching for Arkle, at ARKLE. And he also has the Shameless Cash Grab. He's in season 4. And is he still doing episode 2, Streets of Blood, by now?
Well, I don't know. We're going to be gone, so he may
we're time
release
shifting. So he may be into episode 3 by now.
Yeah.
Who knows? Anyway, you can still find him by going to youtube.com/Arkle Studios. And then we must give some shout outs to some Facebook groups for also allowing us to publish our content there. First, Two Gay Geeks After Hours for literally saying, oh, please share away on our page. And their URL is facebook.com/group/Gay Geeks After Hours. And then to The Gay Geek for also allowing us to share all of our lovely stuff there. And their URL is facebook.com/groups/The Gay Geek. And we must give special thanks to their moderator, Jeremiah Reeves.
Thank you, Jeremiah. And lastly, we can be found on Spotify, TuneIn, I don't know what I was going to say, Stitcher, as well as where other fine podcasts can be found.
I want that Spitcher app.
I was going to say Spitcher, blah, blah, blah. Also, check us out on Krypton Radio at 3 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific time on Tuesdays, and listen to their other content, their 24-hour geeky internet radio station. Please rate us and review us on iTunes, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where you can listen to our episodes while you are surfing the internet on your device. And that's it. Okay, that should do it for this episode of TG Geeks Webcast. Be sure to check out the article for this webcast episode. We will have several links on the page. And remember, you can comment on our Facebook page or our website, tggeeks.com, or you can leave us a voicemail at 469-TG-GEEKS. That is 469-844-3357. I am from TG Squared Studios. I'm Keith Lane. Thanks for listening. Please be kind to yourself and those around you. Peace.
Cheers.